Hey guys, Bart from TST Industries here. Welcome to TST Garage. Today in the shop with me is a beautiful new Suzuki GSX-8S. We will be performing an installation of the front signals on this bike after we talk about several different signal offerings that we have here at TST Industries and also select the one that we will be performing the installation with. So let's get right into that. In front of me you see 5 different types of setups. Right center here is our new Quadrix lamp. It's a very nicely designed, sophisticated component. It is a dual circuit lamp, which means it has a running circuit and then also a signaling circuit. Now the running circuit does not necessarily have to be plugged in. A lot of bikes like the Suzuki do not include a running light circuit connection for the signal lamps. How do you know if your bike has it? If you turn your bike on and the signals do not go on solid when the bike is in running mode, then you do not have a running light. So we can just plug this in via our harness converter, forgo the blue wire, and then you have signaling function, but you do not have a running light in this lamp. This signaling system uses a sequential pattern instead of a traditional on-off type of pattern. When you initiate your signaling function, it'll start inboard and scan outboard. For every flash cycle, it'll scan from inboard to outboard. This is a very nice, sophisticated look that many people are after nowadays, so this is one of those signals that we provide that has that flash pattern. The other signals here that you see on the table, they are single circuit signals, which means they only have the signal function. They are very easy to plug in. All of our signals terminate in 3.5mm bullet connectors, and we pair those up with a harness converter that mates with the bullets and then terminates in an OEM connector on the other side. So be sure to pick that up with your purchase. Besides that, the only difference here is the style of signal you're going for. We have the flush mount signal available in smoke and clear. We have our BL6 signal available in standard light pattern or sequential. So the sequential will work the same as this, except on this particular lamp, we do not have the running circuit. Here we have our aluminum anodized echo signal. It is a very nicely executed small package signal. It comes with black anodizing all over the body. We do include a silver ring. If you choose to change that ring, we do have these rings available as a separate purchase. They're very inexpensive and they provide a nice little accent to your bike. So you choose a different color. The swap over is very easy. You unscrew the cap, you remove the ring, replace it with whichever ring works for you, and that's that. Now, as far as mounting goes, the physical mounting on the bike, the pod signals that you see here will require this kit. This is a converter plate kit. It basically closes out the holes left behind by the removal of the OEM signals and provides a nice mounting base that is cosmetic and closes out all the voids. This very inexpensive mounting kit is a very practical way to attach your signals to the bike and make the whole installation look very professional. So I highly recommend dropping that in your cart along with these other components. Now, the flush mount signals do not require any additional components like that. However, they do require the connector kit if you want to make it plug and play. If you have some other means of connecting it, or you're going to be snipping off some of the wire from the OEM signals, then you probably won't need that. And you can just decide on which signal lamp that you need. All right, I did brief over the running light circuit in here being something that you typically don't use via plug and play ability. We do have a running light connector kit. Again, very inexpensive, just a little drop in case you do want to add a running light function. I will perform this type of installation towards the end of this video, just so that if you want to go that route, you're empowered to do that with our installation steps. This is not required, but if you want that, I'll let you know how to do that. All right. One consideration that must be made anytime you are removing OEM signals off of a bike and replacing them with aftermarket signals is the flash rate. These bikes are configured to run a certain amount of current through their signaling system, and anytime you change that to any aftermarket component, that may be thrown off. So you may see a symptom like hyperflash, where your signaling goes very, very fast, or you have it stuck on where it'll light up and just stay stuck lit, or it just won't flash at all. I anticipate seeing one of those symptoms on this bike after we change the signals to one of these systems. So to combat that, we will be installing an LED flasher relay. Our Gen 2 relay fits this bike via plug and play method. We do have a separate video showing you how to install that. That requires the removal of a couple panels, so we will skip those steps in this video because they are specific to the installation of that part. That part is always available to couple up with your purchase of signals, so please consider that in your shopping efforts. The one thing I want to mention beyond all these signals is our Running Mate product. Now this product, I will not be showing you how to install it here in this video. This is a little bit beyond the scope, but I did want to introduce it so that you guys know that we have this product. This is a plug and play component and plugs in to the signal and front running light connections, and then terminates an OEM connection for the running light, and then 2 bullet connectors for your choice of single circuit signal lamp. This will enable you to have signaling from the running light and from your signal, and then also running light function from both of these lamps as well. We will be making a separate video showing you how to install this with the different types of lamps we offer. That'll be that for my pre-show here. Let's get going with the installation. Let's start tearing this bike down. I'll show you how to do it in little steps that are easy to follow. Let's get going. First step will involve removing some of the connectors from the front portion here. They are contained within this space. Before we get in there and identify them, I wanted to show you guys the connectors that you will be working with. These are JST 2-position connectors. This is the female socket, male socket. They unlock via pressing on the male socket, pressing down on the unlock feature and slipping it off. This clears a little ratchet from this window. Boom. So on this particular bike, there are 2 white sets for the running light down in the center, and then the left signal is all red. Male and female are red. On the opposite side, they're black. Let's now get in there and identify where they are exactly. So our red connector I mentioned is right here. This is the left signal connector. The locking feature is facing me, so I will support it from the rear, from the back of the connector towards the front of the bike, press in the locking feature, and then pull down to get it out of its match connector, just like that. Now that's free. And subsequent step here will be to find the white connectors I was talking about. If you follow my screwdriver into this cavity here, there are 2 connectors side by side. These are the ones for the running light up in the front shroud. So I will have to get my hand underneath and grab the wire leading into that connector and perform the same step I just showed you with the red connector there. All right, since my hand is already in there, I'm going to disconnect the other side running light connector because they're side by side. And I did that pretty easily here. Sometimes they do pose a little bit of a challenge, so please be patient. Let's hop on the other side and find the black connector. Now on the right side of the bike here, this is the black connector that I was talking about. What makes this one challenging is the locking mechanism is on the inboard side here. We don't have access to it visibly, so I have to grasp the wire, put my thumb on this surface here to support the connector itself, so I can press against the lock, and comes out the same way, just a slightly different configuration. Let's go ahead and start removing the fasteners now. We have 2 silver color fasteners here that need to come out using a 4mm Allen. The next set of fasteners also use a 4mm Allen. They are located up on this surface above the front signals. Now there is a push fastener on either side here and here. Push the center in, pop it out. I like to reset it to have the button out ready for reinsertion. And the two remaining fasteners are here and here. Small flathead screwdriver under the head, pop up the head, and then that just comes right out. At this stage, the entire front shroud is loose and can come off. I want to note here that it is very important as you pull this away to look at and note and memorize the routing of the two wire pairs on each side. One for the signal, one for the running light. Now the signal will not be run exactly the same once we switch to the aftermarket signals we are installing here, but it's very nice to just run the same routing for the running light because the running light wire is kind of short and it requires a certain kind of routing to still be able to be plugged in. Also make sure you don't snag anything. All right, now this is off. I'm gonna grab my table and we'll go on to the disassembly of the signal lamps from this chunk. With the shroud system here arranged in this orientation, we can see the nuts that actually hold the signals on. They are a 10mm size, so I will use a 10mm socket to remove them. Each one of these signal lamps has a nut and a washer. So we'll remove all those components, put that to the side. Now I'm going to grab our converter plate kit. The round washers will go on the underside. These tab-looking washers will go on the outside. If you notice the hole placement being closer to one semicircle than the other, you can arrange this to your liking. However, if you arrange it like this, you're leaving this exposed. So my preference here is to arrange the tab geometry forward. Like I mentioned before, we are going to be installing the Quadrix signal on this particular bike. If you're using BL6, Echo, or any other one of our signals, they do show up with only two wires, yellow and black. Yellow is the positive, black is the negative. Typically our two conductor converters come with this sort of a scheme. So you would plug these together, use some electrical tape to lock down the little caps, feed that through, mount it, assemble it, and good to go. The case for Quadrix and any other dual circuit signal that we sell is that they have different wire colors. Red is the ground, brown is the signal lead, blue is your running light. Now I did mention that these have a running light. We won't be connecting it for one instance, and then I'll show you subsequently how to connect your blue wire so that you do have running light here. So let's first focus on not having a running light. Unravel your signal, remove the hardware. Now we do have some bulk around these connectors, so they do have to come off one by one. I know it's a little bit annoying, but this makes for a nice installation later on. So let's just go ahead and be patient and get that done. These plates do have an underside that's a little rougher and it's got letters on it. So we will use the smooth side to the outside. Put that through here, put that through here, turn it around, get our large plastic washer on, then our steel washer, then the nut. We'll mate all these components together here. And it's pretty easy to get the geometry situated here. This little opening in the shroud space below our plate indicates the direction of the beam. This is parallel with the ground after everything's installed, so we can technically adjust this and lock this down here and then just transfer it onto the bike. For this particular signal set, the nut included requires a 13mm open-ended wrench. Some of our other signals use 12, so be sensitive to that when you're installing your signal set that you've chosen. Now I've left a little bit of adjustability in the system here. I'm going to make the top edge of this plate parallel with the top edge here, and then make sure that the plane containing all of the LED centers is parallel with the edges of this little notch here, and that looks pretty good. I'm going to lock this down. Now we are turning a mechanical steel nut onto a stud that has been overmolded with rubber. Do not want to overstress this connection here because you can technically over tighten it and pull that steel stud out of the rubber. So as soon as your signal lamp does not rotate with regular force applied, leave it alone. That will not loosen. There's enough friction in this system so that it is safe kept just by that friction. All right, let's move on to the wiring here. Like I said before, we are first pursuing no running lights. So blue wire would be backed off here, red to black, caps go together, brown to yellow, caps go together. I'll grab myself a little bit of electrical tape. We already have insulation, electrical insulation through the use of these caps, but during vibration while riding, they can potentially travel and dislodge themselves. It would be pretty difficult for them to do so, but I do like the extra security that the tape provides. So I will lock them together and provide a nice tight winding down towards the lamp, and then this way they will not slip off. If I were not going to use this for something down the line, I would be taping that off as well, just to not have an empty contact dangling around. Now we do both sides, then we bring this back to the bike, plug everything in, fasten it up, good to go. We're going to proceed with the other side in the same fashion as the left side that we just did. All right, so if you aren't using the running light circuit, or if you're using a lamp that doesn't have a running light circuit, you will not have to worry about the extra blue lead. If you do have a blue lead because your light comes with the running light, then tape it off like this. If, however, you are going to be using the running light, I will now show you how to make that connection on this particular motorcycle. For the purpose of running light connection, we have this specific kit that comes with the wire and mating connector for here, and also little posi tab connectors for this side of things. We are going to be using the constant power from the running light circuit here. There are two wires on each one of these. One is gray, one is black with a white stripe. The gray one is what we are going to be interested in. Let's make that connection first. Our posi tabs have two screw-on caps. I'm going to remove both of them. The small diameter one is for this wire. The larger diameter is for the wire we are connecting into. When we unscrew the larger cap from its base, it reveals this slit. The wire we are going to be connecting into goes into that slit. Then we will thread on the connector body. The connector body actually has a little piercing element in it that will pierce through the insulation and make our connection to the wire. Now, we do have excess length here, so we will need to cut that and strip it. I am first going to connect it into here. Get a little bit of electrical tape over this later. Just want to get my lengths right. So, need roughly this amount of length, making sure that I have ample length enough left over for the other side. Now I've made my decision here. Let's cut that. I'm going to strip off a tiny little bit. It's usually about 4 millimeters here. I'll twist up the wire and feed it in through the smaller cap from the non-threaded side through to the threaded side. And this now threads into our posi-tap connector. Once we thread this together and lock it down, give it a little tug, make sure that it is in fact staying in there and connected. Now this side's ready. I'll just grab a little bit more of that electrical tape and get this situated on this bundle. All right, that's looking good. I'm going to repeat the steps on this other side. All right, at this point, this entire assembly is ready to go back on the bike. We'll just have to make a few considerations on how to run all these wires so that they stay in place and not start drooping out over time. So now the name of the game is to get our wires routed and make sure that we don't have bulk up in an area like this where there's an interface between the bike components and the shroud. We do have ample length here that we can decrease. I like to S-fold this, and we could either use a cable tie or we could just tie it like so. This only serves as a debulking step, so this will be just fine. My preference here is to send the running light wire just the same routing as when we removed it, and then the signal wire will go through this little window here behind this screw. And as I get that closer in there, I'm going to flop over the bulk over this mounting area here, and that will just keep it captive for me. You do have to do two sides at the same time, really. It does decrease quite a bit once you start jamming these wires into where they're going to live. So it becomes a little cumbersome here. Definitely difficult to show you guys exactly what I'm doing at this point. I think I've explained it enough. It makes it pretty clear. As you guide all of these components together, just make sure that there is no interference caused by the wires. All right, this is looking good. I routed my signal wires, but I did not really route my running light just yet. So now I'm going to back up and do that. Okay, that side's looking good. And this side is going to be back to normal real soon. All right, I've achieved the routing that I was after. I'm going to Make sure all of my holes line up with the receiving fastener holes, and then start replacing my fasteners. I like to start with the push pins first because they are the easiest. And then I proceed to the screw fasteners. If you remember, the black ones were on top, so we will proceed with those. All right, the last fasteners are the silver ones that go in the bottom. I like to get them engaged by hand first until the shoulder actually fits inside the plastic shroud. And then I'll grab a tool and tighten them down all the way. All right, at this point, we just need to connect everything, and then we should be good to go. Connect in the reverse order of disconnection. That is a little challenging because, as you could see before, during the disconnection phase, there isn't a lot of access here. What makes it further more difficult is I have these giant mitts. If you have smaller hands than me, it's going to be a lot easier for you. But if you don't, patience is really the name of the game. I tried many schemes of disassembly and reassembly of these connectors. I tried removing some of the extra components around here to gain access with a little bit more space, and every single approach was inferior to just being patient and doing it this way. If you stumble upon a better approach, please let me know about it in the comment feed below. I do like to provide our customers with the easiest possible means of assembly and connection, so if you have a better way, please let us know. We'll make it public. All right, plug the last connector in. Let's give this a test. Here we go. We have running light. We have signal light. As you can see on this particular bike, we are flashing much faster than the OEM 85 cycle per minute rate. I did say that the signaling circuit will likely act up. What you saw here was flashing very fast. If you have sequential signals, very likely that it's not going to finish the pattern. So you should probably do something about that, restore that 85 cycle per minute flash rate. That's why we have that relay that I showed you in the after shots. In this video, after the conclusion of what I have to say, we will show you what it looks like with the proper flash rate restored by using one of our relays. All right, that's pretty much it. I hope you found this informative. Thank you for watching. I like to hear from you, so I would appreciate comments if you have any. If you do have any notes on the connection and reconnection, any of the flow, if you discover a better way, please let us know. I enjoy hearing from you guys. And that's pretty much it. Check out tstindustries.com. We have these parts ready for you, ready to ship to your house, and the videos we produce help you install them all on your own with simple tools only. Thanks for watching. Check you out later. Ride safe.